Hello. What's good, everybody? Come on in. Let's tweet this out real quick. Okay. How's everybody doing? Let me know what's going on in the chat. Okay. I'm going to get started. There's a lot going on. Seems like the news has been kind of slow over the past few days. But anyway, welcome to another episode of A Fresh Perspective with Jeff Charles, where we prefer truth over narrative and principles over politics. I'm your boy, Jeff Charles, and we're going to talk about a few different things today. What's up, Arnold? Good to see you, as always. All right. Done there. So there's some stuff going on in the news. It seems like it's been pretty slow over the past couple days, or past few days, I should say. But we've still got some stuff going on. I don't know if anybody watched that those hearings with Secretary of State Antony Blinken, but I'll be talking about that. I'll also be talking about a poll that came out recently from CNN about Republican attitudes towards 2024 when it comes to who the Republican nominee should be. So we'll be talking about that. And what else are we talking about? I can't remember. Oh, then I'm going to be talking about Biden's authoritarianism and giving my thoughts on that and whether it's going to get worse or stay the same or what have you. But as always, before I get into everything, please like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Please like this video. It only takes 2 seconds, and please share it. I appreciate it all. If you want to support my work, you can do so here with a one-time donation, or if you wanted to give me a super chat during this broadcast, that would be awesome. Also, you can subscribe to my online community at afreshperspective.locals.com. And just wanted to remind you also, where'd my thing go? Oh, just remind you that LibertyNation.com is a proud sponsor of A Fresh Perspective. Check out LibertyNation.com for all of your conservatarian news, original articles and analysis, videos, podcasts, Liberty Nation Radio, and their signature TV program, The Conservative 5. All on LibertyNation.com, conservative news where truth matters. All right, let's talk about Blinken. Am I the only one that thinks of Robin Hood Men in Tights whenever I see this guy's name? You remember, hey, Blinken. Hey, did you say A. Blinken? No, I said A. Blinken. Great movie. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, yeah, I have to bring that up because our Secretary of State kind of got a little bit of a beating over the past couple days. Yesterday, he testified in front of the House Foreign Relations Committee. And he got slapped around there, but then today he testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and he got slapped around even more. It's beautiful. As you might have already guessed, he was testifying about the botched withdrawal effort from Afghanistan. And I mean, it was already expected to be contentious, right? And both sides had their agenda. Both sides were trying to basically do what they needed to do to make their side be more dominant as far as the outcome goes of these hearings. I don't think that these are going to be the only hearings. This is going to be the first of a few. I do think that if and when Republicans take back Congress in 2022, there will probably be even more investigations, kind of like there was for Benghazi. There's absolutely no way that won't happen. If Republicans take over, there will be more investigations. So we're going to find out more of how these decisions were made leading up to the evacuation efforts and the resurgence of the Taliban. But it's starting out with this right here, with what Blinken was talking about. And I mean, I don't know if you guys watched it, but he did not look like he was doing very well at all. I mean, he was answering a lot of the questions, but there were a lot of times where he was stammering, stuttering. They put him through the ringer. And even with Democrats trying to softball the issue, he did not come out looking good. And the Biden administration did not come out looking very good here. So before the questioning started, Blinken gave his opening remarks. And you can read them out at the statedepartment.gov. It's all public, his opening remarks from today and from yesterday. And it was kind of predictable what he said. I mean, what has been the Democrats' strategy with this whole Afghanistan thing? Well, the strategy is to blame Trump, right? Now, a lot of us can see how stupid that is. Even people in the middle can see how stupid that is. But I'm just going to say this, not in defense of the Democrats, but more in explanation. They don't have any other way to spin this. They don't have any other way to defend Biden's withdrawal. Everybody knows he messed it up. And Democrats have criticized him. So the Democrats aren't in a position to where they can say, no, it actually wasn't that bad. Oh, no, but he did this stuff right and this and that. What they have to do is they have to try to distract from it by pretending that it's Trump's fault or that he contributed to it. I mean, Trump wasn't perfect. I wish that Trump would have gotten the job done. But we had 15,000 troops in Afghanistan when he took over. By the time he left, we had 2,500. So he did draw it down very significantly. And really, there's no way that this is Trump's fault. And I'll address that in just a little bit. But Blinken said, quote, when President Biden took office in January, he inherited an agreement that his predecessor had reached with the Taliban to remove all remaining forces from Afghanistan by May 1st of this year. And then he continued, quote, as part of that agreement, the previous administration pressed the Afghan government to release 5,000 Taliban prisoners, including some top war commanders. Meanwhile, it reduced our own force presence to 2,500 troops, which, by the way, is exactly what people wanted. Everybody wanted Trump to do what he did as far as reducing our troops. Now, they did deal with the Taliban, but here's the thing: no matter who was in office, you're gonna have to create some type of deal with the Taliban because they are the power there. So that's kind of not really a good argument. It's not a great argument. If Biden had been in office between 2016 and 2020, he'd have done the same thing. And now his deal may have been better or it may have been worse, but he would have done the same thing. Like, you can't ignore the Taliban and pretend like they don't exist if you're talking about issues pertaining to Afghanistan. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. Now, Blinken also claimed, I can't say that man's name with a straight face. His name is Blinken. Okay, I'm going to get through this. I promise. Okay, he said, quote, Biden immediately faced the choice between ending the war or escalating it. And then he went on, quote, had he not followed through on his predecessor's commitment, attacks on our forces and those of our allies would have resumed, and the Taliban's nationwide assault on Afghanistan's major cities would have commenced. That would have required sending substantially more U.S. forces into Afghanistan to defend ourselves and prevent a Taliban takeover, taking casualties, and with at best the prospect of restoring a stalemate and remaining stuck in Afghanistan under fire indefinitely. That is bullshit. that is a heaping pile of bovine excrement. Now, here's the thing. First off, Biden didn't follow through on Trump's commitment. Trump's commitment was for May 1st. Biden said, no, we're going to do it by September 11th. Then he changed it to August 31st. So he already wasn't doing what Trump had laid out, which, by the way, I don't think that Trump would have either. I don't think Trump would have had everybody removed by May 1st. I think he probably would have pushed it back. And the reason I think that is because the plan that his team put together called for the evacuation of American civilians and Afghan allies before removing the last of the troops. So his administration was more concerned with making sure that we got all the right people out first and then withdrawing, whereas Biden was prioritized the deadline. He said, we're just going to be done by this date, regardless of how it happened. The deadline was prioritized over making sure we got our people out first. So with Trump, his deadline would have been more flexible. Now, that doesn't mean he would have handled everything perfectly. I think he would have made mistakes too. I'm not convinced that he would have messed it up this bad, though. And on top of that, the fact that what the Taliban taking over, that was always going to happen. As a matter of fact, President Joe Biden even admitted that. If we would have withdrawn it 5 years from now, the Taliban would have taken over. If we would have done it 5 years ago, the Taliban would have taken over. So Blinken's assessment here that they had to do it in a way that the Taliban wouldn't take over, well, that happened anyway, right? And it was always going to happen. The only thing that was keeping them from doing it was us, right? So this would not have resulted in the situation that he's talking about as far as having to re-enter the war and then stay indefinitely. No. And this is kind of what Biden was doing, right? The way he was defending his handling of the situation was by attacking a straw man argument, saying, well, we had to get out of Afghanistan. Okay, but nobody was arguing that we shouldn't, at least not a lot of people. So after that, he spent, I mean, this thing went on for hours. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched about 3.5 hours of it. And basically, it was him fending off attacks from Republicans and, getting a reprieve when it was a Democrat's turn to ask questions. In case you don't know how these things go, each member of the Foreign Affairs Committee gets 5 minutes to ask questions or to grandstand or to say stuff or to virtue signal. It can be very much an exercise in political theater. And we did have some of that going on, but that's how it goes all the time. Now, he did say that that we still have about 100 Americans left there, and a significant number of these individuals supposedly had dual citizenship. He didn't say how many. But he was saying that these people were having trouble deciding whether or not they wanted to stay in Afghanistan or if they wanted to flee to America. And he also didn't explain whether or not the government was going to evacuate the thousands of Afghan allies who had applied for visas. Instead, he kind of pivoted and talked about how the program had stalled under the Trump administration. Now, there are a few reasons why it stalled. A lot of it had to do with COVID. So they weren't doing interviews in person because of the virus. There were other reasons as well. But again, this was yet another attempt to deflect to the prior administration to distract from how Biden handled this whole thing. But here's the thing. Like I said last week, we left the majority of our allies there. And if the Afghan allies were that important to the administration, then Biden would have just said, you know what? We're going to push the deadline back so we can get everything processed, and then we'll move the troops out. The Taliban, yeah, they were making threats, but remember, they sent in 5,000 troops back into the country to facilitate the evacuation effort when it became apparent that the Taliban was going to take over the region again. So yeah, maybe the Taliban would have done something, but probably not. At least not in a way that would have prevented us from doing this the right way. The Taliban knows better. They don't want us to come back in there. They just don't. They don't want to go through what they went through 20 years ago up until now. So yes, Biden could have done something to make sure these people got out instead of just leaving and then pretending like it's Trump's fault that these people are still stranded in Afghanistan. Now, I'm not going to go over every single Republican's statements, but Representative Michael McCall, Texas Republican, and he is the ranking Republican on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and he accused the administration of betraying our allies in Afghanistan. He said, quote, "Our standing on the world stage has been greatly diminished," which it has. Our allies have taken issue with the way that we handled this withdrawal effort. Now, they also questioned Blinken about that transcript of the phone call between President Biden and former Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. I can't remember if I talked about this on my live stream last week, but in this call, Biden was essentially pressuring Ghani to portray the situation with the Taliban as if it were going well, even if it wasn't. Like whether it's like he used the words, quote, "whether it's true or not." Ghani needed to make it sound like this was going smoothly and put a positive spin on it. Blinken didn't say a word about it. He said, no, I'm not. He said, I'm not going to comment on a leaked phone call. Yeah, I bet you won't. I wouldn't either. It would have been stupid of him to try to say something about it. Strategically, it was a good political move. Not honest, but politically, it was smart. Representative Steve Chabot, he also, laid into him. He said he called the withdrawal, quote, a disgrace, and said, quote, maybe the worst foreign affairs disaster in American history. Now, that's probably a little bit hyperbolic, probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was bad. We know this. And the Democrats, for their part, like I said, their strategy in both hearings was distraction and trying to pin it on Trump. And again, like I said, they know this isn't true, and they know that nobody's buying this. Nobody is actually buying that it's Trump's fault, except for people who already want to believe it. As far as people who are in the middle, or even on the Democrat side, they're not buying it. It's only the people who just really want Biden to look good that are believing that it's actually Trump's fault and not Biden's. Now, Foreign Affairs Chair Gregory Meeks, Democrat from New York, he said, quote, we are seeing domestic politics injected into foreign policy. Yeah, no, that would be true if this were purely partisan. But like I said, Democrats have been criticizing the Biden administration too, especially in the Senate. Even the media has criticized him. So this isn't domestic politics. Nobody's retreating into their teams on this one. Pretty much everyone agrees that this was handled badly. And the only concession that Blinken made, because he spent the whole time trying to really spin this into something that was done well. But he did admit that the situation, quote, did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. Exactly what Biden said. But the other issue that was brought up is the fact that the Biden administration did have the intelligence. The intelligence community did tell them that the Taliban was going to take over rapidly. Blinken actually, one of the representatives asked him, when you received that intelligence, did you give that to the president so that he knew? He wouldn't answer that question. So the ball was dropped. And these hearings only further illustrate that. This is not going well for Biden at all. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Democrats who are trying to spin it, I mean, again, it's understandable because they really have no other way to defend this. There's no way to say that this thing went well. Yeah, we got people, we got our stuff out, we left Afghanistan. That's a positive. But nobody can spin the way it was done. So what do you guys think of this? All right. Remember when they were calling that guy Abe Blinken in the media? I didn't remember that. No. Yeah, so the Secretary of Defense is refusing to testify, but they're talking about issuing a subpoena. So he might have to. Eventually, he's going to have to. Like, even if it takes until after 2022, they're going to get him in front of the Congress. So, yeah, he's not going to be able to avoid that. And he shouldn't. Just like the Secretary of State came out and participated, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin needs to do the right thing. Yeah, he's going to get beat up, but you signed up for the job, didn't you? All right. Doesn't matter. Nothing will happen. And those really responsible will never be held accountable. Probably not. No. Let's see. They started rolling through Afghanistan in May at the start of fighting season. Yeah, they did. They did. And no, they didn't ask him what his favorite ice cream flavor was. Let's see what else we got. Are these hearings going to make a difference? I think over time they will. It's going to hurt the Democrats politically a lot. even the ones who are admitting that this was handled badly, I think when we get to the totality of what happened, then yeah, it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them politically, especially in 2024. And if the Republicans are smart, they will make sure that the nation doesn't forget. So when they're doing those investigations, you know how they have that House Select Committee investigating January 6th? Yeah, the Republicans need to do that exact same thing, but with Afghanistan, which was horrible. So yeah, I think it will make a difference as far as politically. Now, as far as people being held accountable, no. I mean, we know these people are never held accountable. That just doesn't happen. I mean, unless you count, losing political power as being held accountable, because I do think that will happen, and this will be one of the reasons why they lose political power in the next couple elections. This withdrawal strategy went through multiple leaders' departments. I don't know if the ball was dropped, just inept leadership. Probably, maybe. All we know is that it was messed up. Like the way it was handled was not effective. So I think we'll find out where the disconnects were. I really do think we'll find out. We're probably not going to know everything, but there will be stuff that comes out as far as the decision-making process and, what the Biden administration knew and when they knew it, all that stuff is going to come out. Yeah, Blinken didn't even know if the guy droned was an aid worker or part of ISIS-K when Rand Paul asked him. Yeah, I didn't get to see Rand Paul's part. I heard that he went in on him, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. But let's go on to the next topic here. And I want to talk about a poll that I saw. And it is a CNN poll. So, we always got to take it with a grain of salt. I tried to talk about this the other day in my car, but my phone went out. So I'm just going to talk about it now. So there'll be some overlap there. Now, on the Republican side, everybody's talking about 2024, and when it comes to Donald Trump, the question is, will he or won't he? Is he going to run or is he not going to run? Nobody knows yet. He's still playing coy with it. I don't know when he'll actually announce his decision, but Trump is a showman, so he's going to do it in the most dramatic way possible. He's going to keep us in suspense and all that stuff. But this survey showed that there's a kind of a rift between conservatives and Republicans. Now, conservatives and Republicans in general, they still believe that Trump should be the leader of the party, in whatever capacity he does that. So they found that Republicans and Republican-leaning independents say 63% to 37% that Trump should be the leader of the Republican Party. Now, that doesn't automatically mean that he should be the nominee in 2024. He can still be the leader of the party while somebody else is running for president. I mean, his influence is going to be there for a while. Because, and this is what people on the left don't realize, his influence actually doesn't have much to do with him. What he stood for was something that people wanted for long before he even decided to run, like with the whole Tea Party movement. They were tired of the establishment, and he represented the anti-establishment. So it's not really about him, but he is the standard bearer of that right now, or at least one of the standard bearers, the main standard bearer. And so the survey found that conservatives are, quote, about evenly split over whether having the defeated former president back on the ticket in 2024 would be an advantage. So 51% of Republican respondents said that the GOP would have a better chance of winning in 2024 if Trump is the nominee. 49% said the party would do better with a different candidate. That's within the, what do they call it? Margin of error. So it could easily, it's pretty much cut in half. So here's what CNN said, quote, a 72% majority of conservatives say Trump should head the party, compared to 49% among the smaller block of moderates in the party. So there's a difference between in responses between conservatives and those who identify as moderate Republicans. 71% of self-identified Republicans want Trump to lead the party, compared with 51% of Republican-leaning independents who say the same. And again, this is a CNN poll, but at the same time, I don't think that they're off the mark here. I mean, you guys remember that straw poll that was taken at a conservative summit, and it showed that it had Florida Governor Ron DeSantis actually edging out Trump among the candidates people would like to see take the nomination for 2024. And I mean, if you're paying attention to the conversation, I mean, there are a lot of people who are saying that while they like Trump and they liked his policies, they would prefer somebody else, like a Ron DeSantis or something like that. Now, on one hand, there are people who are excited at the prospect of seeing former President Trump make a return to the Oval Office. And this is especially true of those who believe that the 2020 election was stolen. They want that revenge. They want to be able to see him get back into the office and say, oh, I'm going to serve out my second term anyway. And they seem to believe that he can replicate the success that he had in 2016. And that is possible, because the Democrats are in a horrible position. And I think that they're going to be in a horrible position in 2024. If you look at the way Biden is governing, he's not very effective. I mean, at least with Obama actually accomplished some things. And while I don't think that he was a good president, there are things that he was able to get done, right? Whether we like him or not, he was more competent than Biden was, or Biden is, I should say. And they think that even though Trump will be 78 years old by the time 2024 rolls around, same age that Joe Biden is right now, they probably still think that he'll still have the same level of energy that, the current guy kind of lacks, right? I don't think he'll have the same level of energy that he does right now, because he is going to be aging, but I don't think he'll be as out of it as Biden is. But on the other side, I've seen many on the right. Again, they like Trump, but they believe that it's time for somebody new. They want somebody else to be the standard bearer. And they believe that Trump should still be influential. He should still be a kingmaker, because he would be. But they think that he would do better. He would do better for the movement if he were outside the White House. And again, this is one of the reasons why Governor DeSantis has gotten so much traction. If Trump does not run, DeSantis will be the front runner. It doesn't guarantee that he'll get the nomination. There could be somebody else that comes up that people like better. Or maybe DeSantis will do something really stupid. Who knows? I mean, that's always a possibility with politicians, right? But I think one of the reasons why they like DeSantis is because he is more of a Trump 2.0. He has all of Trump's strengths, but he doesn't have his weaknesses. Like with DeSantis, we'll have somebody who embodies a lot of the America First values, and we'll have somebody who has a more pugilistic attitude towards the media. But we're not going to have to worry about him getting into stupid Twitter feuds. We're not going to have to worry about him, chiming in on the culture and saying a lot of stupid crap. We're not going to have to worry about that. Now, it doesn't mean that the left still isn't going to freak out, because they're going to freak out about whoever the Republicans put up. I mean, once he gets that nomination, he's going to be a racist. He's going to be a Nazi. He's going to be all kinds of Hitlers. That's what they're going to do. But when it comes to DeSantis, he won't be giving him the ammo, right? I mean, this might not be popular, but when people call Trump racist and stuff like that, Trump tends to bring a lot of that on himself. There are things that he says that go in that direction. I'm sorry, he does. Do I think he's a racist? No, I don't think. I mean, Biden has said racist things before too. I don't think that Biden is a racist. I don't think either of these men hate black people. But at the same time, they are old white men that come from a different age. They say certain things, and that it is what it is, right? DeSantis will not give them that ammo. And I don't think any other Republican nominee would either, right? Anyone that's going to be taken seriously, right? I mean, Ted Cruz, it's hard to pin those things on him because he is more careful with what he says. But again, Trump also has a lot of baggage. They'll be able to point to things that policies he's had that were unpopular, whether they were good or not. I mean, there's a lot more to attack with Trump than there will be with DeSantis. I mean, so far, all they can really attack him on is how they don't like the way he handled COVID. That alone, They ain't gonna stick. And I'll tell you, if DeSantis or if another Republican nominee runs, the Republicans are going to retake the White House in 2024. There's no way that doesn't happen. With the way Democrats are going right now, if Biden steps down and Kamala takes over, she's going to do a worse job than he is because they're both incompetent. That's what's kind of sad here. They're both incompetent. But if Trump runs, he could energize the other side. Like, see that's the thing. We have to also think about that. I mean, people who voted for Biden weren't voting for Biden. They were voting against Trump. Nobody likes Biden. Nobody hates Biden, but nobody likes Biden like that. They just didn't want Trump in office, and Biden did what he had to do, and he got Trump out of office. But if he were to run again, those same people would still be energized because the last thing that they want is Trump back in office. Like, you saw how crazy they've been over the past 4 years. But if you run more of a regular Republican candidate that is more Trumpy, but not Trump, it's not going to energize those people because they're going to be like, okay, well, I don't like that guy, but he's not Trump, and Biden has stunk up the joint. So I do think for those reasons, somebody else who doesn't have the same level of baggage and somebody who doesn't trigger people on the left as much as Trump does, they're going to have an easier time winning. And I do think that they will win. Trump could still win, but I do think that we have a more significant chance of losing if Trump does run again. So, I mean, you don't hear people saying, well, I don't know, DeSantis isn't orange, but, you know, orange man bad is a thing. And there is no orange man bad for DeSantis or anybody else that would be in the field in 2024. So that's the reason why I would rather that Trump didn't run, because I think our chances go up if we have somebody else. What do you guys think? Oh, and by the way, if Trump does run, I mean, he's obviously going to select DeSantis as his running mate, so that would probably help. Okay, what do we got here? I don't want him on the ticket. Are you talking about Trump or DeSantis? Good point, Daniel. If Trump runs, it will be all about him rather than the incumbent Biden and Harris. It will be harder to get people to focus on how inept this administration is if Trump runs, because he sucks the air out of the room. And he's going to say things that are crazy and people will focus on it. That's yet another reason. That's a good point. I'm more libertarian in my beliefs now than before, so I won't vote Trump again. However, I think he would be way better than Ron DeSantis, who the GOP is also pushing. That's true. See, DeSantis has some statist tendencies that I don't like, that Trump Trump would probably be less likely to have some of those statist qualities. So, I mean, I'm not saying DeSantis because I think he's so great. I just think that he's the front runner right now. Trump is not going to run again. He is stringing supporters along so they donate to his fund. Yeah, maybe. I'm so over Trump. Yeah. And honestly, I think a lot of people feel the same way, but they won't admit it. Like, even the people who like Trump, they're just kind of over that whole thing. I think we're ready for something new. I think he paved the way for something better, hopefully. I wonder if Ted Cruz is going to run again. I think he is. If DeSantis gets the nomination, the media will say how he will be worse than Trump, more extreme, etc. Well, they're already saying that, actually. So yeah, that will be their strategy. The question is, will it work? I don't know if it will. It might, but I mean, even if you look at DeSantis's manner, you can't compare him to Trump. And this is going to be popular to some people, but people didn't vote against Trump because of his policy. They voted against him because he's an asshole. That's why. That they voted against Trump because he said mean things. Now, sometimes I liked it. Sometimes I didn't. But Trump just rubbed people the wrong way. And I mean, he lost, I believe, suburban women. He rubbed them the wrong way. He's boorish. That's who the guy is. That's his personality. And a lot of people like that because they like that he fights. But if you could have somebody who fights in the same way but doesn't rub people the wrong way, that would be better. So yeah, they are going to say that of course they're going to say DeSantis is a Nazi and a fascist and all that other bullshit. That's what they do. But it'll be harder for them to make that stick with DeSantis or somebody else like him. Yeah, 3 years is a long time in politics. But here's the thing. I don't think that within that 3 years that Biden and Harris will become competent. They won't. And especially if Republicans are able to take control of one house of Congress, they're not going to be able to get much done. Oh, come on. Neocons are dying for Candace to run too. They might be, yeah. If y'all let Candace Owens get on that ticket, or if you even let her get into the field, I'm joining the Libertarian Party. I'm telling you right now. If that woman gets anywhere close to anything, I'm just gonna hang it up, and I'm going with the Libertarians, because that means that y'all just don't want to do right. I'm joking, or am I? Let's see. Trump was way better on criminal justice reform than Ron DeSantis will ever be. DeSantis is also not serious about ending any war. Trump is slightly better on war, even though he's far from perfect. Yeah, I think Trump would be better on war than DeSantis would be. That's true. I don't know anything about DeSantis's record when it comes to criminal justice reform. I mean, if he's going to go with a normal Republican approach, then yeah, he'll probably be worse. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think he's that great, but yeah, as far as chances of winning, I think he would have a better chance of winning. What else we got? Officer Statham and Candy are a dream team. I'm sure you. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, if you guys let this happen, I'm out. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to join the Democrats, but that would just tell me that you guys not you guys, because I know anybody who's following me knows better. But when I say you guys, I'm just talking about in general, like the conservative movement. That would just tell me that y'all aren't serious. Isn't Nikki Haley supposed to be running too? If so, I'm really looking forward to this clown show. I think she's trying to run, but she's not going to make it anywhere. I mean, she is too reflective of the neocon establishment. And I don't even dislike Nikki Haley. I think she's okay, but I mean, I disagree with her on a lot. But in general, I think she's okay. But no, there will be no Nikki Haley. What else we got? See, you guys are messing with me right now. Candace and Tucker 2024. That's a winning ticket. Woo! Yeah, if you consider winning, losing, yeah. Yeah, you know what I said about Owens goes for Tucker Carlson too. If y'all get him on that stage, I'm out. I'm sorry. I'm like, I mean, it's bad enough that you guys jacked up this California recall with Larry Elder. I mean, come on now. Oh man, I'm not going to talk about that until after the recall election. I hope Newsom gets kicked out. At this point, I'm not optimistic, but today is a day. Hey, it would be a good birthday present for me tomorrow if Newsom were out. I could stomach that. Let's see. No, Lord, take us home first. Okay, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I don't think that them nominating Candace and Tucker would, bring about the rapture, or if that would be desirable. Maybe it would. I don't know. All right, I got to go on to the. You guys are making me laugh today. I got to go on to the next thing. But before I do not forget to head on over to libertynation.com, a proud sponsor of my show, A Fresh Perspective. Now, when you go over to libertynation.com, I'm going to say what I always say. You're going to get great analysis. You're going to get breaking things down. You're going to get no outrage porn. And every article is going to make you think, whether you agree with it or not. You can also join their member zone where you can get premium content. You can sign up for the daily briefing to get updates in your, in your email. There's always new and original material material on libertynation.com. Also on Liberty Nation's YouTube channel, where they have the shows that I mentioned, Liberty Nation TV, of which I am the host. So if you want to see more of me, you got to check me out on Liberty Nation TV. And also the Conservative 5, that's their flagship TV program. I'm also on that too. Fun stuff. So definitely check it out. Definitely a more unique and eclectic group over at libertynation.com when it comes to their writing staff. You've got ANCAPs, you've got traditional Republicans, you've got conservatarians like myself, and everything in between, all that stuff. But you won't get any fringe wacko stuff that you might find on some other sites. So definitely check out libertynation.com. Damn it. Now, Biden got in touch with his authoritarian side this past week when he announced that he would be issuing a series of executive orders ostensibly designed to curb the COVID-19 outbreak and the Delta variant and all that good stuff. One of those orders was, well, several of them were controversial, but the most controversial involved a vaccine mandate implemented at the federal level that would compel businesses that have 100 employees or more to require each employee to take the jab or to be subjected to weekly COVID testing. Now, as you already know, 5 seconds after he made that announcement, Republicans were up in arms. They were already talking about legal action. They're going to be filing lawsuits. They're actually already getting them ready. So those are going to be filed pretty soon. Or actually, they're not going to be filed until he actually issues the executive order. So when he issues the executive order, maybe 10 seconds after that happens, they're going to file legal action in the courts and they're going to fight this thing. Now, a lot of people, people have different opinions on the vaccine mandate, and a lot of people have pointed out that it is very authoritarian. Now, they recently the Trafalgar Group did a poll that measured attitudes about this vaccine mandate, and it's pretty predictable. A majority of Republicans were against it, and a majority of Democrats were for it. But what was interesting to me about it is that 29%, so almost a third of Democrat voters, said that he did not have the authority to issue such an order. I was surprised by that. I thought the number would be lower. I did. I thought that there wouldn't be that many Democrats who would actually want to push back against that. But I was wrong. It's a good sign, but still most Democrats are on board with it because, that's just how it goes. But here's the thing. People who are concerned about the authoritarianism inherent in this proposal, we got to watch out because there's a good chance that it's not going to stop here. Now, why do I say that? Because he's going to issue the executive order. They're going to challenge it in court. There's a good chance that it'll get struck down. But one of my colleagues at libertynation.com actually did a TV episode with him where he brought up an interesting point, because I asked him, there's a good chance that this isn't even going to go through because the courts are going to stop it. Most likely. They could still go the other way. But Biden knows this going in. So why would he issue that type of order when he knows that there's a good chance it will get blocked? And he said it's kind of like the art of the deal that Trump talks about. Or basically, if you're in sales, you know how negotiations work. You shoot for the moon. You ask for way beyond what you actually want. That way, when the other person says no, then you can go down and actually get what you want. So that's a decent point. That might be what Biden is trying to do here. I also think that he's issuing this executive order so that it looks like he's doing something, right? He can say, well, if it does get struck down, he can say, hey, this Delta variant is going on. I tried to do something about it, but those nasty Republicans, they blocked it. So I think that both are probably figuring into that decision. But again, this could get worse because flu season is coming up. And from what I've read, the reports that I've read, this one could be particularly dangerous. Now, we know that last year's flu season wasn't that big of a deal. We were mainly dealing with COVID-19. This one could be a lot different. So NBC News reported that 2 studies indicated that the next flu season could be, quote, a miserable one. I'm going to mess up this person's name, but I'm going to try it anyway. Xiaoyan Song, the chief infection control officer at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C., told NBC News that, quote, there are some factors that we cannot control as far as how bad the flu season is going to be. And she did recommend that people get vaccinated against the flu. You can take that for what it will, what it is. I mean, I think I've only gotten the flu vaccine like twice. I generally catch colds, but I can't remember the last time I've had the flu. But one of the reports says that, quote, since flu was minimal to non-existent last year, people were not exposed to the virus, potentially undermining the protection they would normally have. So since people weren't catching it last year, it could be worse this year. And there's even another dimension to this. Dr. Mark Roberts, who is the director of the Public Health Dynamics Laboratory at the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School of Public Health. These people have some long-ass titles, I'm telling you. Anyway, Dr. Mark Roberts, he knows what he's talking about, I guess. And he said he talked to reporters and he said, quote, much of the immunity that we have as a population occurs because people in the population had influenza last year. And if they get a similar strain circulating, they won't get influenza the second year. So he and his team calculated that this flu season could result in about 600,000 hospitalizations. Now, there was another expert who talked to the Wall Street Journal, William Schaffner, not William Shatner, William Schaffner. As a matter of fact, I wish they would interview William Shatner about this because he's awesome. But I digress. William Schaffner, professor of preventive medicine at Vanderbilt University School of Medicine, also painted a bleak picture of this coming flu season. So when he spoke with the Wall Street Journal, he said, quote, the worst case scenario is a real twindemic of flu and COVID-19 infections. So he said, and again, this is the worst case scenario. He didn't say that this is definitely going to happen, but he's saying if we do have all of these hospitalizations with the flu and we're still dealing with the COVID-19 and the Delta variant, this situation could possibly get worse. So the Wall Street Journal, the author wrote, quote, many children will be back in school where they can pick up and spread infections, the health experts said. Many adults aren't working in their offices where they typically get flu shots, or they don't want another vaccination after getting their COVID-19 doses. And many people will no longer be protected by masking and other COVID-19 restrictions that have been eased, right? So, kids are germ factories, right? So that could be one way that this could potentially get worse. Now, here's another issue. The other issue is the possibility that the flu shot that they come out with this year could be less effective when it comes to targeting the strain of the virus. It could be less accurate because there was less of the flu circulating last year, which means that the researchers who developed these flu vaccines have less data to select the correct strains of this season's to select the correct strains to use in this season's injection to target. So to put it simply, if this twindemic scenario unfolds, guess what's going to happen? Biden, and not just Biden, but the Democrats are going to be pushing for more draconian measures. It's not going to stop there. So Biden's already doing this vaccine mandate. He'll probably take other measures. Maybe he'll push for lockdowns again. He can't enforce lockdowns because he's the president, but he holds influence, so he could push for them. I don't think it'll get to a situation like what we're seeing in Australia, but it's not hard to see how these things could come back because Democratic officials at the state and local levels, guess what they're going to be pushing for? More mandates, stricter mandates. Let's say this one that he just did holds up. They'll go even further. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Democrat governors and mayors and state legislators calling for lockdown orders, especially in the more blue states like California, New York, and others. I don't necessarily think that'll happen with, say, Florida. I hope not with Texas. I hope that Abbott wouldn't bow to that pressure. But if that twindemic scenario does occur, we can expect to see the left push more for more restrictions. So this is just something to look out for. What I'm talking about may never happen. I mean, I think there is a chance that flu season will be worse, but maybe it won't get as bad. Hopefully not. Got to pray that it doesn't. But if it does, we're going to have to be ready to push back against the authoritarianism that they're going to push, using this as an excuse. So what do you guys think of that? Let's see. Think I'm crazy? Think I've got a tinfoil hat on? Let's see. Oh, Millie. No, it's because the thing is, I had already decided what I was going to talk about today before that Millie stuff came out. I will be talking about it later. Maybe I'll just do another special live stream, maybe tomorrow or the next day, and talk about that, because that is crazy. This is a good question. What if Michelle Obama runs in 2024? Conservatives would lose it, literally and figuratively. You might be right. I'm going to have to pray that doesn't happen. Michelle Obama has a lot of charisma. People like her. Hell, I like Michelle Obama. I don't agree with her on anything. I wouldn't vote for her. But that might... I could see that going very wrong. I don't think she's going to run. I think they're pretty much out of that. But you never know. I mean, we had Hillary run, right? If Michelle Obama ran against Trump, man, but here's the other thing too, because just like I said that Trump would energize all of his haters on the left, Michelle Obama would energize a lot of people on the right too. So that I'm gonna have to think about that. That would be very interesting to see what would happen. I will say that I don't think that she would win against a regular Republican candidate. Even though people like her, I don't think that she would win, because just how badly things are going to get with Democrats in charge. Let's see. He's not going to stop trying to do more. Yeah, as far as vaccine mandates and restrictions. Yep, I believe that. Star Trek, you're not wearing their shirt. No, because Star Wars is better than Star Trek. All right. Now, Star Trek isn't bad, but Star Wars is better. Anyway, but I digress. Trying to sound like ABL, you take that back. Blocked and reported. Not trying to sound like that. You almost had me drop the N-bomb. No, I'm not sounding like ABL. I'm sounding like my co-host of the Red and Black Show, Lenny McAllister. And I forgot my wine. Yeah, see, Arnold knows what I'm talking about. All right. What else we got here? Don't put tinfoil on that hair. Only Soul Glow. Yeah, right. Please send Felicia Killing some flowers to make her feel better. She's really sore about Larry Elder's involvement in the Cali recall. Yeah, she is. She is. I am too. I just don't show it because I try to be more humorous about it. But I'm not happy about that. And see, you're trying to make me get into it, and I'm not going to right now. I'm going to wait until after the recall. Actually, you know what? If we know the results of the recall tomorrow, then I'll do a little video on it, because I do have some things to say about it. So, but she is mad though. Felicia, sis is mad. Can't blame him. Who is ABL? Anthony Brian Logan. I shouldn't be so hard on him. I mean, he's the conservative ink type, but I don't know. He doesn't seem like a bad guy. But you know how I feel about the narrative that they push about the Black community. I'm not a fan. Co-infection with flu and COVID is bad. COVID tends to take over flu, from doctor friend that works in ED. Less flu cases last winter due to masks. Oh, that's right. That's right. there were fewer flu cases because people were wearing masks, so that kind of halted the spread of the flu. I have a doctor I can talk to about this. Maybe I should bring her on at some point. I'm going to reach out to Dr. Nikki. This is, I thank you for bringing this up. Also, businesses are passing the cost of COVID testing to the employees. A guy I know works as a prison guard. The prison is charging them $400 a month if they're not vaccinated. Are you serious? Holy crap. I didn't know it was like that. I thought you could just go to the store and get a COVID test. Are they that expensive? Whew. I mean, it's a personal choice. I got vaccinated. I mean, it wouldn't matter for me because I don't work at a traditional company, but still, I could see why people would want to take the vaccination. I mean, for me, it's a personal choice. I am not anti-vax by any stretch of the imagination. I got the vaccination. I don't agree with mandates. I think people should make their own choices. And based on what we've learned from the vaccination, this whole narrative that the unvaccinated are spreading it to people, to everybody. No, if you're vaccinated, you can still catch the virus. I mean, and I think a recent study, and don't quote me on this, recent studies show that more and more people who are vaccinated are getting the virus. The difference is that if you're vaccinated, you don't deal with the symptoms as badly. It doesn't hurt you as much, and it lessens the chance that you're going to die. So I'm not anti-vax. I mean, that's been shown. If you do get the virus, you're less likely to suffer from it or to die from it. Oh God, yeah. Someone trotted out Sidney Powell today to talk about widespread fraud in California. Something about 70% of voters in one place turned away because they'd already voted. So I have seen headlines on that supposedly in one county, 70% were told that they had already voted when they really hadn't. So it sounds like there was a glitch in the system. I said I wasn't going to talk about this until later. I'm just going to say this one thing. Republicans were already setting up this narrative before, like, as of at least 2 weeks ago, they were already setting up this narrative that they were going to claim that it was fraud if the recall effort fails. They're going to do it no matter what. And they were always going to do it. I knew it. I knew it even before those 2 weeks. Unless, I think the only way they won't do it, no, they're going to do it no matter what, actually. They're going to do it no matter what. But it will be less intense if the results are decisive. If they're close, oh man, Sidney Powell is going to come back out. She's going to travel to California. You might even get Mike Flynn out there. You're going to get Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. Everybody's going to be claiming fraud and that they cheated and stole the election. President Trump came out and said, "Oh, the election's already rigged." Okay, so basically, you just suppressed votes because people aren't going to come out and vote because you just told them that the recall election is rigged because you're stupid, and all of us on the right are stupid. That's why we're the party of stupid, because we do stupid shit like this. Like they accuse us of voter suppression, but they're right. The problem is that they're not suppressing black votes. They're suppressing our votes. You can't make this stuff up. Republicans are suppressing Republican votes. They did the same thing with the Georgia Senate elections. Oh my God. Oh, we're so dumb. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that, Adam. I appreciate it. Now I'm depressed. But yeah, I mean, they were always going to claim this. And to be fair, the left does it too. Anytime they lose a race, they pretend it's because of voter suppression. Like when they lose in 2022, they're going to pretend that the Ku Klux Klan was showing up at voting centers to prevent black people from voting or whatever bullshit they come up with. So, yeah. All right. So I'm going to end it on that note. I'll be blaming the Russians like all educated people do. Yeah, that's perfect. Yes, definitely. If the recall effort succeeds, they'll say it was Russia. That's what they're going to do. Hard to claim fraud when there are 30 candidates. That's not a bad point. That's really not a bad point. Because here's the thing. Even if that 70% story is true, which I'm not sure if it is. I think it is, but I'm not sure. We don't know who those votes were going for. How do we know that those 70 votes or 70% weren't saying yes to the recall and then voting for a candidate or whatever? So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they were always going to say it was voter fraud, and that's what they're going to do if the recall does not succeed. I still hope it does. So if you're in California, you haven't voted yet, I don't know if the polls will close, but get out there. All right. But until next time, keep your minds free.